Hello, my name is Kevin Lausch, and I'm a member of UUTC, and I'm also the Director for Children's Religious Education. The mission of the Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County is to support individual spiritual journeys and to promote social, economic, and environmental justice. Whether you're watching live or at your leisure, thank you for being here. Your intention in listening and participating is what makes this time sacred. Whoever you are, we're delighted you are with us. For our announcements, please join us for our Solstice Service, which is on Monday, December 21 at 5:15. It will be outside the church with all new material this year, and we'll be social distancing and wearing masks. And the New Year's burning service will be January 3. Please get your flash paper slips and remember to write on them what you're wanting to leave behind for the passing year and return them to church by January 1 if you'd like them to be included in the service. Finally, just please remember to look at your newsletter for all the other information on the happenings at UUTC. And now our music is O Come Emmanuel by Janice and Elaine.
For our chalice lighting, the reading is the Global Unitarian Universalist Chalice Lighting. These words are offered by Stepa N. Morawski from the Prague Unitarian Congregation. For millennia, the fire has been the center of human communities. Our ancestors used to gather around it. Today, we are assembling around this flame to renew our community. May the flame of our chalice make this community warmer and stronger. And for the lighting of our Advent candles, this is the fourth Sunday of Advent, so we light the fourth candle of the Advent wreath. And the fourth candle is the candle of peace. And now our call to worship. Please join us in singing hymn 235, Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. The words will be on your screen.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, la 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 la. Cast away the old year passes, la la la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, la la. Sing we joyous all together, la la. Heedless of the wind and weather, la la.
Our opening words are called Winter Solstice by Reverend Becca Parker. Perhaps, for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking, the wheels stop rolling, the computers desist from computing, and a hush will fall over the city. For an instant, in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard, stunned to stillness by beauty. We remember who we are and why we are here. And now we light our candles of joy and sorrow. You can type into the chat box to share your joys and sorrows, and I will light a candle for them at the end. We light these candles for joy. For the joy of the holidays, the joy of the season of snow, the joy of sharing meaningful times with others, and for many other joys too numerous to mention. And we light these candles for sorrow, the sorrow of remembering lost loved ones during the holidays. The sorrow of seasonal affective disorder. The sorrow of the isolating time of COVID-19. And for all other sorrows too numerous to mention. And I light this final candle for those sorrows and joys mentioned in our online community. And now the music is a solstice carol presented by Janice and Elaine.
A fire is burning, the cold night draws near. All who need comfort are welcome by here. We'll dance 'neath the stars and toast the past year. The spirit of solstice is still living here. We'll count all your blessings as the mother lays down with snow as her blanket covering the ground. Oh, thanks to the mother for the life that she brings. She'll awaken to warm us again in the spring. Oh, count all your blessings, for the cold will pass. Oh, share the harvest, and the sun will shine again.
The poor, the hungry, the sick, and the lost. These are our children, no matter the cost. Come near the fire, a harvest will share. The spirit of solstice is still living there. Count all your blessings, for the cold will pass. Oh, we must share our harvest, for the spirit of solstice is here.
Our reading this morning is from our hymn book number 524 by Starhawk. Earth Mother, Star Mother, you who are called by 1,000 names, may all remember that we are cells in your body and dance together. You are the grain and the loaf that sustains us each day. And as you are patient with our struggles to learn, so shall we be patient with ourselves and each other. We are radiant light and sacred dark, the balance. You are the embrace that heartens, and the freedom beyond all fear. Within you, we are born, we grow, live, and die. You bring us around the circle to rebirth. Within us, you dance forever. Welcome on this winter solstice Sunday. We're here in the cusp between the moment of complete darkness and then later in the week, our Christmas Eve, and following a star and new light and all those metaphors. I'm pleased to be able to be with you during this season, this dark moment of the longest nights, shortest days, and the chance to go deeper into the rich meanings from our pagan and ancient roots of religion, plus a little bit of understanding the scientific piece of where we are. For, to me, 2020 is a great year to remember that our earth wobbles. It's not all perfect on its axis, but it wobbles, which is what gives us the seasons. There is very little balance during the year 2020 in our memories. And so when we get to a solstice time and recognize something of a shift for more light, maybe we come to this time with something of the ancient celebrations, tuned into our earth a little better. Do you remember when the COVID-19 shutdowns first began, the satellite images of Earth showed an immediate drop in pollutants around the world? People had to be at rest. Industries were temporarily shut down. Some maybe still. Our effect on Mother Earth and the ways in which we can alter that effect became so clear in that moment. As we scrambled for our own survival, the earth itself showed in its true colors, in its atmosphere, in its hot spots, how much we shape things. It didn't used to be that way. We, as human beings, would struggle against the shift in the climates, the loss of light. We would have fewer hours of hunting, no way of growing in at least the northern hemisphere. We would enter the winter time with only the stores of what had been saved up, or the possibility that we had migrated with the herds of the animals that would sustain us. And then we had fire. And then we built shelters. And we began to fight against the very climates in which we were. It helped us. Throughout the years, when we would get to this season, the skies might be filled with coal, dust, and smoke. The idea of the small ice age during Dickens' time and the coldness and Dickens not allowing Bob Cratchit to put more coals in the fire, we had come to the point in which we lived in sturdy, enclosed spaces, doing things that help sustain us and earn a wage, if not a living wage, to support a family. Dickens was sure to point out what was going on among the human beings. And the pictures painted of that day show the smoke rising from chimneys everywhere, and then the steam engines. And then we struck oil and we began to burn what was deep within the earth from the liquid that bubbled up. And eventually, not treating it as waste, we capped the wells to capture the natural gas instead of burning it off at the top of the wellhead. I say all these things because we who are safe and warm in our homes, as we watch this sermon, forget to be as linked to the past, as linked to our environment as might have been all those centuries ago. According to Earl Count, in the book 4,000 Years of Christmas, the Mesopotamians were the first at this time of the cycle with a 12-day festival of renewal, in their case designed to help the god Marduk tame the monsters of chaos for one more year. Many cultures the world over perform solstice ceremonies, Earl Count says, at their root an ancient fear that the failing light would never return unless humans intervened with anxious vigil or antic celebration. How many of us, in the days before COVID, would go out for those antic celebrations in miniature form? The office parties, the friends' gatherings, the neighborhood celebrations. I know this year is very different, although I know some places are still trying so hard to have holiday gatherings. And we're being told, no, it's not safe. I wonder what went wrong last year. Why did we not have festivals of renewal to help the god Marduk tame the monsters of chaos for 2020? What should we do now to prepare for 2021? May it be far less chaotic. We human beings make most of the messes, not all of them, but we make most of the messes. And I believe we can find the ways, maybe not through ritual, but through our actions, to make a difference in how we move forward past this moment of darkness. I spent retreat time in the mountain retreat of the Kirkridge Center. That's in Pennsylvania. You might think instead of the mountain here in North Carolina, the Unitarian Universalist Camp and Conference Center, that Kirkridge, from, I believe, a more Presbyterian background, opened its doors to people of many religions to deepen their sense of connection and spirituality. And one year sent out this information, and I quote, "The sun stands still, as in a sense we have all been doing for the last months. We celebrate the lushness and growth of the natural world for the summertime, and then prepare to move on to the new cycle. From ancient peoples and cultures today, the solstices offer times to celebrate new life and help us prepare for change." That particular one was written just as the summer solstice was appearing. and we had been on lockdown. Previously, the Kirkridge wisdom for all of us to meditate on had talked about the winter solstice. After Monday, the write-up said, the planet will tilt a bit more towards the sun and light will return a few minutes at a time, blessing us perhaps with some warmth and possibility. What will we do with that possibility? Will we offer a few more acts of kindness, listen more carefully to a neighbor, or walk more attentively through the woods? The author wrote, I wonder, on the solstice dark night, how we will choose to be more present to the never-ending presence of the divine in the days to come. A call I wish to amplify to you. If you knew you had a few more minutes each day, how will you spend them? The suggestions there, will we offer a few more acts of kindness in those minutes each day in which we have more light? Will we listen more carefully to our neighbors? Deep down, under their anger and arguments, deep down to where their fears and vulnerabilities might be. That tends to stave off chaos when we are connected. Or are we going to take those few minutes each day to add a little bit of more walking time, outdoor time, to be in tune? That reading said to be in the never-ending presence of the divine in the days to come, and that also works in the darkness, in the depths of the time in which, instead of turning on the electricity or flicking a match for our candles, to take a moment even in the darkness to reach out to the divine. We've just finished up Hanukkah. Peter Yarrow had written a song for Hanukkah, and it appears in our hymn book. I'll just read a short, personally important part of that, one verse of it. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. And light one candle for those who are suffering pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, that anger not tear us apart. And light one candle to find us together with peace as the song in our hearts. We often think of the songs at this time of solstice tilting us. O come, Emmanuel, a promise of peace, a promise of this new life that's coming up. But the solstice time itself, falling between Hanukkah this year and Christmas, reminds us that, wait, there are ways in which we can light many lights here in this moment, profoundly in this moment, to lift up our principles. I always loved a quote from Patrick Murphin that spoke to the ways in which we, our ancestors, invited the sun back. It's a much more harmonic way of living in this world, to believe that we could invite the sun back, guide the sun back. Murphin wrote to remind us of our ancestors, of, quote, druidic fires tore to hillock, call again the sun, and shyly does it come once more. Druidic fires tore to hillock. They would do that, to find the hills, and one by one light the fires as if it were a landing strip with lights on it, back to their villages. This way, son. Come here. I like this time, the time when it's clear that the old is dying off. Nature shows us that. The leaves, even the last ones that were hanging on, I don't know why, until we got to this time, have mostly all come down. Even the white pines behind my home in the woods have shed something as of their evergreen to make room for new growth. It's safer in the winter in case we got an ice storm. What are we shedding and leaving behind at this solstice time? What have we learned from the patterns of nature to take this moment? Annie Furster, my colleague, said some words that I'll use at the closing about coming out now of the darkness of our unknowing. But I would like first to say, when the light begins to grow longer once more, may we pay attention to that extra bit of life each day, the promise in each minute of extra sunlight, tilting us towards the memory of spring to come, and warmth and light and life. Yes, the ancient ancestors lit fires in the darkness. They sang songs and had festivals all into the coldest nights. The most depressing time of the year for them got made into something that could bring exuberance, festivity, or at least hope. Astronomy came along and helped us move up our celebrations so that we know, without having to wait a few days, that yes, indeed, the days are longer. And knowing that, might we be able to be better human beings? Might we grasp this time and remember the earth perhaps thanking us at the beginning of COVID for a brief respite of our pollution? Maybe reminding us as we pull into our homes of the ways in which our world is smaller and we can reach it electronically. As the phone company used to say, reach out and touch someone in ways that our ancient ancestors never would have known. As I said, Annie Furster's words say, come we now out of the darkness of our unknowing and the dusk of our dreaming. Come we now from far places. Come we now into the twilight of our awakening and the reflection of our gathering. Come we now all together. We bring our unilluminated, our dark caves of doubting. We seek, unbedazzled, the clear light of understanding. And may the sparks of our joining kindle our resolve, brighten our spirits, reflect our love, and unshadow our days. Come we now and enter into the dawning. Thank you. Blessings on all of you. Welcome to the solstice time of the year. It's at this time of the service in which I hold up our basket to remind us that every week we're asked to make some contribution. Maybe you've been extra careful to give money to charities this season. They certainly are hoping that they can continue their mission. Maybe you're thinking about the ways, knock on wood, that this congregation is financially healthy and able to continue. Whatever you give of your time, talent, and treasure with love, we receive with great joy, and we say, thank you. Before closing out our service, I invite you to join in our final hymn. The words will be printed on your screen.
People look east, the time is near, of the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able, trim the hearth and set the table. People start singing to east, love the guest is on the way. Furrows be glad, the work is fair, one more seed is planted there. Give up your strength, the seed to nourish, that in course the flower may flourish. People start singing the east, love the rose is on the way. Stars keep the watch when night is dim, one more light the bowl shall brim, shining beyond the frosty weather, bright as sun and moon together. People start singing to east, love the star is on the way.
My prayers to you, and to lift up the prayers for all this week who are feeling the emptiness of an empty chair, feeling the distance. May the growing light help you. My prayers this week to those who are suffering physically, mentally, who are in the depth of darkness and pain. My prayers are with all the caregivers who know how hard this season is, for their strength and their wisdom and sustenance. My prayers are to each of you, that you may know health all through this season and into the new year. I extinguish our chalice, but not the meaning of the light and why it was lit today, not taking away what you carry with you of our values, of our Unitarian Universalism out in the world. And I extinguish the helper candle, not because there are no more helpers, but because all of us now must take that role. I extinguish the last of the Advent wreath, because we know with anticipation that we are here. As the solstice ends, so our Christmas Eve comes. As benediction, the words of Kathleen McTeague, may the light around us guide our footsteps and hold us fast to the best and most righteous that we can seek. May the darkness around us nurture our dreams and give us rest so that we may give ourselves to the work of the world. Let us seek to remember the wholeness of our lives, the weaving of light and shadow in this great and astonishing dance in which we move. Blessed be. Amen. And I hope to see you on Christmas Eve or in the services to follow.